Show you what we have to do for the challenge of mine. I just finished it. Challenge of might. Excuse me. 200 legendary kills, 1,000 LA kills, 2,500 outlaws, 2,500 scars, and 2,500 dominion, which took a lot to finish. So guys, it took me several days to finish it. So let's see where we go. Right now, the only thing that's left is the challenge of resolve, and I think this will come with DLC. So the question mark ones. So I don't think they have anything ready for us on that matter. Let's see.
I just don't think earwax should be that good.
They got the doorway is kind of strange.
So, now that you've walked in her footsteps, let me tell you the final tale of Magna Stra. When General Tarsis fell, those closest to her went into mourning. Each carried grief in their own way. For Magna, the loss of her friend and leader turned to rage. She couldn't rest while a single Urgoth lived. They were already broken by the sword of Fulminus, terrified, fleeing to the dark corners of the world. But hard on their heels, Strahl came, hunting them one by one.
This sounds like the other story you told me.
Listen to enough tales of Magna Strahl and a pattern emerges. When at last her scouts found no more enemies, she returned to the Fortress of Dawn. There she found the doors sealed. The Legionnaires were preparing to leave it forever.
Let's see, why did they leave it? Or I'm sure she took that well.
Even after I went inside, I've never heard why the fortress was sealed up.
I'm getting to that part. While Strahl eased her grief with battle, Arden Vasa fixated on his duty. With her final breath, Tarsis had made him swear Antium would not fall, no matter the cost. At her command, Vasa prepared to take the entire Legion of Dawn to safeguard Antium for all time. Outraged at what she saw as desertion, Strahl ordered the Lancers to halt. And they obeyed. Her general secured a future for all people, not just Antium. She called for the Legion to follow her, to battle the enemy in the darkness where they'd fled.
Which of them commanded the Legion after Tarsis died? Or was it neither?
No one. We called Tarsis a general because she led the Legion, but they had no ranks. When she died, the Lancers looked to her legionnaires, but none could replace her. Strahl was admired, some might say revered, by many, and they gladly joined her cause. Vasa called them traitors. Strahl declared those who stayed behind were cowards, and the Legion broke. Those who followed Magna Strahl called themselves paladins, and went north to pursue the enemies of man. They vanished into the darkness, and were never heard from again.
I wish they had disappeared forever, but we aren't that lucky.
For a long time, we believed all the paladins died in the far north. When we learned they'd survived the cataclysm that froze Stralheim, centuries had passed, and they were different from what they once were. Whatever happened to the paladins can't be allowed to overcome the freelancers or the sentinels.
We can't defend against something we can't even
Challenge of
identify.
Mount, which I just
Be on your
finished, was
guard,
awfully long,
Lancer.
so it took me a while to
Walk
finish
the
it.
paths. Before the Battle of Antium Pass, the Legion's test of resolve had a different basis. It began with Leotrel, the General's oldest friend. When Tarsis first raised an army against the Urgoth, Leotrel was with her. The Arcanists were hidden from them. They hadn't yet found Arden Vasa. No lancers, no javelins, no weapons, no fortress. Not even a good hiding place. Nothing but the vision of Helena Tarsis and Leotrel's unbreakable will.
I've never heard about the beginning of the Legion before.
In a way, it has no beginning. Where and when did Tarsis and Leotrel meet? No one remembers. Maybe it was once such common knowledge that no one thought to pass it on. There are countless towns that now claim to be the birthplace of General Tarsis. The truth is lost. A legion needs soldiers, and it began with just one. The two set out to find the Urgoth. The plan was simple. Follow the raiders and warn villages in their path. At first, they succeeded in getting word of the coming Urgoth to people in time. Villagers fled, but the longer the Urgoth went without a catch, the faster it spurred their hunt. Finally, Tarsis and Leotrel arrived at a town with the Urgoth on their heels. Flight was impossible, so they stood and fought.
Fighting Urgoth without a javelin, by themselves. That took guts.
Tarsis hoped to slow the Urgoth enough that some villagers could escape. The two of them, alone, armed with simple weapons, were little more than an annoyance to the enemy. But they fought. Despite greater numbers, strength, and weapons, the Urgoth could not subdue them. Finally, with Tarsis wounded and Leotrel at the point of exhaustion, the two prepared for the end. But the villagers rallied. With tools and improvised weapons, they joined the battle and routed the enemy. Many innocents were taken that night, but not all of them. Because people fought the inevitable. And the rest is a tale for another time.
Challenge of resolve. Prove yourself by completing daily and weekly trials. Daily and weekly. Okay. Right, this one shouldn't take long. Alright.